Hey there, Nimble Superman, back again. Another video about Superman, I guess. Because, hardcore DC fanboy. Obviously, my favorite hero is Superman, and I love Justice League and all that kind of stuff. And just kind of sitting around wondering what to talk about. And I thought I'd just kind of take some time to just talk about, the Lois and Clark book that DC is doing right now. This is issue 4 with Dan Jurgens writing and Lee Weeks on art. And I guess I kind of wanted to talk about that book a little bit because right now, for people wanting to get into Superman, that's like realistically the only book to read um, for the character right now. To me, it's not a good thing. It just sucks in my opinion because I think obviously DC's always just been trying to crack the code in terms of how do you bring Superman to a modern audience, and how do you do it, you know um and I guess what it is, when I was thinking about it, it's like, why does this Lois and Clark book represent Superman so much compared to, you know like what they're doing with Superman right now, with the whole depowering him and genes and et cetera, et cetera. I always felt like, a lot of the things about Superman's world, it's not that it's broken and you can't bring this stuff to a modern audience. I think that along the way we just kind of forgot about that, because I just did the Superman animated series video, and yeah, I think just somewhere along the way DC just forgot that, like, this stuff isn't too old. It's just, I always felt like, to bring something to a modern audience, you just have to, I think, first of all, just represent it in, like, visually, because obviously Superman, he just needed a new suit, and, you know, before you kill me here, uh, I'm a hardcore Superman fan, man. Like, I literally love, like, pretty much everything about the Superman mythos over the years, pretty much 80s on, and I love the Trunks era. I do. I've said Superman the Animated Series is, like, pretty much perfect, for his world and everything like that, for that time. And because I think 90s, that's what you would visually expect out of Superman. But in the year, what, 20, the 2000s and all that, like, you'd expect more for that universe, in Superman, you know. And I always felt like how to do the New 52, a lot of it is just cosmetically. And what I mean by that is, like, you just got to update the costumes a little bit, like, I think that one of the best examples is you look at Identity Crisis, and there's a shot there where it's at the funeral, and you can see everybody, you can see literally, like, a lot of the characters of the DCU. And this was year what? Like, gosh, I can't even remember, because I think Infinite Crisis was like 2006, I believe. So Identity Crisis must have been what, 2004 maybe? Something like that? Um, but yeah, everybody just looked like the DCU just looked so old. It didn't look as young and as inviting, as I'm looking at the Justice League early promotional image for New 52, and everybody just looks so young there, so rejuvenated, because you think of Superman, Superman's probably, like, when you think of, like, how old Superman is, and, like, in his prime, being Superman, he's probably, like, late 30s or even early 40s. He's an older guy, right? And I'm not even saying you got to make him, like, Superman needs to stay as an older guy, Like, I guess I'm just stumbling on my words here, and I'm just trying to figure out that, like, the lowest, like, I feel like I guess with the whole DC plan of just making things darker. And here's how I feel about that. Everybody's, and even Warner's is just like it too, where it's just like, oh, we need to be darker. The Dark Knight trilogy worked because it was darker, and it was more realistic and that kind of thing. And it's not. That's not the reason to, like, to me it's not. Like, cuz if you look at like which of those films were the best out of that trilogy, I would actually say, like, in terms of tone and everything they were going for, like, Batman Begins was the best one. And you look at that one, and it's got this really healthy blend of humor. It's not, definitely not at the Marvel level where it's just like we gotta like make fun of everything because we can't let anybody feel any sense of drama. You know, like, obviously I'm just DC fanboy talking about it a little bit, but that's how I felt like with the Marvel films. Like, we don't need to go to that level. We just need to have some sort of level of humor, you know? Like, not a whole lot, but just enough to somewhat be fun and to break tension, you know, cuz like Young Justice was on and I loved that show. That's probably another video I'll eventually do, but it was a little bit too serious for younger viewers, and that's, I would think, why eventually they got rid of it and why it just didn't survive. Because I guess with cartoons, you tend to try to get the younger audience, and if you're not getting the younger audience, like, I don't know, I guess they just felt like they were wasting their time, which I don't think they were. The show was amazing, but I think that's why ultimately it got canceled. It was just too serious, you know. But you look at the show like Justice League, and I always felt like Justice League was a fun show. It wasn't super kiddish, you know. We weren't sitting around making fart jokes and, you know, just like really just immature jokes or anything like that. It was, to me, it was mature, but it was like younger audiences could get into it. Like, I was really into it when I was a kid. Like, you know, I just feel like this whole mantra of like we got to make everything darker. That's what people like, and that's what made the Dark Knight trilogy successful. You know, and it's really not. You know, especially this whole realism angle they're going with. Like, because the thing about DC is that it's like, just because like Batman works a certain way, that doesn't mean that like that's why Batman is successful, because like he's super dark and like all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, it's just really just dumb in my opinion. It really doesn't make sense. Like, because you need to have variety, you know? That's like, because you look at Marvel, you know, it's definitely much more of a fun world, you know. But there's a lot of variety in there, man. Like, there are some characters that are much darker than others. Like, it's not like sunshine and rainbows like all the time. Like, there tends to be drama a lot of the times with the books. Like, and I feel like that's somewhere along the way we just kind of forgot about that. We just try to make everything like really dark, you know, like. And I guess getting back to like the Lois and Clark book, because, you know, that's why I made this video. Um, Look, the reason the Lois and Clark book is the best is not because Post Crisis Superman came back. Like, because a lot of people are just like, get rid of New 52, bring back Post Crisis Universe, yeah, rah, rah, rah. All this kind of stuff. That's my impersonation. Yeah, of people. But you get what I'm saying. Like, it's not that Post Crisis Superman is the only version of Superman that's ever gonna work or anything like that. It's, you have to find a way to bring things like together for Superman, where, and I guess I've already said this before, where it's like it's a status quo that you would want to read, and it's somewhat representative of those characters, you know. Like, that's, to me, that's it, you know. It's like, I want to read Superman for different reasons than why I want to read Batman, right? Like, if it's all the same, Like people just, would get bored with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it just feels a little bit lazy creatively. You know, because I guess the biggest thing with Superman and New 52 and all that is like they just continue to make Superman's world just darker. But like they'll somewhat keep the character the same, you know. Like I remember last night I just watched the first episode of Lois and Clark, um, the New Adventures of Superman, last night. And anybody who doesn't know, that was a show that was on in the '90s. Had Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. And that first episode, I just felt like, man, you really missed the Kents. Like, holy crap, how terrible of a decision it was to get rid of the Kents. It made no sense. No sense whatsoever. It was just like Superman, like you should. There's like again, there's different reasons why you would read the Superman books compared to why you would read the Batman books. They're just different. They're really just different, you know. And I guess getting back to how do you rejuvenate Superman? But yeah,